How much are you willing to spend for a top of the line or endgame IM? Are you willing to spend $1,000 at least to get the signature that you really want and to have that audiophile experience everything's looking for? This is the Lime Ears Terra here, and we're gonna find out if this signature is for you. Good day guys, this is Practiphile, and today we're gonna take a look at the Lime Ears Terra. I think these are around $1,100. Yeah, they are top of the line IEMs and they're not cheap. $1,000 is not cheap. But yeah, we're gonna find out if this sound signature is for you. I'm gonna do an objective take and after that a subjective scoring to find out if this sounds pretty good for its price. Anyhow, I want to thank Super Reviews or Mark for sending this over. This is not a sponsored video by Lime Ears. I really appreciate Mark for sending this. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, let's move on to how this sounds. The Lime Ears Terra actually graphs like this one here. I'm gonna put my balance target in there for reference. Objectively, it looks like a V-shaped sound. There's an elevated bass there, some upper mids peak there around 5K, and then a very natural decaying treble there. I don't see any like past 10K peaks, so basically it's U-shaped kind of signature. It's not overly V wherein the treble is boosted. Even if the bass looks like this, I don't really think that it's congesting everything, at least objectively. I would have liked the bass to have a little bit more punch and tight and quicker. For me, the bass is just, it's just there. Mids here, they're a little bit recessed comparison to the bass and the treble in general. I'm not saying that the vocals are really drowned out, but you know, they can be less forward for your liking. Again, treble here, there's a 5K peak in there. On listening though, I don't really hear a lot of, I don't see this as a problem on listening. Probably because there's no past 10K peak in there. So yeah, that is the overall sound of the Lime Ears Terra. And moving on to my scoring, subjectively, for the tonality, I think I'm gonna give it just maybe a 2.5 because compared to my balance target, the bass is a little bit too much in there. I would have liked the bass to have more impact and also the treble could do better. The treble could do better. Vocals are also not that forward, which, you know, I like vocals, my vocals to be forward. I don't hear that with the Terra. So tonality, it's 2.5. For the bass, it's just 2 for me. As I've mentioned, I don't really hear that impact in there. Probably if you lessen the sub bass there, you could have more tightness and probably more fast decaying bass. But so yeah, for the bass for me, it's probably just a 2. It's just okay, it's not bad, it's not good. Mids though, even if the mids are not really that forward, I do find the vocals and instruments, they sound really natural. The timbre on instruments sound really good. Guitars, drums, they sound really amazing. And they have this kind of like very realistic space with the vocals, which I really like. If you've heard enough top of the line sets, you're gonna recognize like, oh, okay, this is a top of the line set. They just have that characteristic in them, that uniqueness in spacing that makes it a little bit real. It's almost tangible, if that makes sense. So for the mids on this, I'm giving it a 3. Treble, yeah, the treble could use a little bit of cleaning there. As you can see, there's a 5K peak in there. But again, as I've mentioned, I don't really hear that peak in there. It's not really peaky for me. And I find the cymbals to be naturally sounding, actually. And maybe I attribute that to downward treble, you know, upper treble there. But hey, I think it could use a little bit of maybe resolution because this one here, it doesn't have an ESD. I think it's a 1DD 5BA set. It could have been, probably it could sound better if there was an ESD in there, but who knows? Like even without ESDs, these are already good sounding. I just thought the treble could have probably a little bit of air in there and maybe, you know, maybe smoothen that a little bit. So 2.5 for the treble. Moving on to the techs, man, again, this is a kilobuck IM and you can do a lot for $1,000. I know price on IMs is subjective and it's, you know, relative to, it's just subjective, but still, like, $1,000. Think of what things can you buy. It's like I can buy a new set of cameras for that. I can buy I can buy a motorbike. If I was in the Philippines, I could buy a motorbike for that price, which is, you know, it's crazy. That's a lot of cash. But again, hey, if you really have, if you have that cash and if you're looking for something that is an all-rounder, like baseline good, the text on the Terra would probably, they don't, it's not a detail monster, but it does have that naturalness to it that makes everything believable. The vocals are believable, the instruments are believable, and you don't get that kind of quality. Maybe there are some IMs that do that under $1,000, but usually you get that kind of quality in top of the line sets. And I would understand why they're priced like this. Probably it's because of that character, but yeah, again, it's still expensive. I'm only giving the text 2.5. So the total for this is 12.5 for me, and that's an A. I mean, I could rank this an S, but hey, it's just everyone does not have $1,000 to spend, so not an S for me. But yeah, it is a great sounding set, really natural sounding. It's probably one of the best out there, around $1,000. So yeah, let's move on to the comparisons here. What I have here is, I mean, I'm gonna be comparing it to first like cheaper models. Let's say if you're coming from the Australia, look at that there, the graph looks like that. If you're looking for an upgrade, this is probably gonna be an upgrade for you. Probably the bass is gonna be not that impactful, but it's gonna be an upgrade in terms of timbre, realism, and just overall probably space and technicalities, because this sounds very proportionate. The Lime Ears Terra does sound really proportionate. Another one, if you're coming from, let's say, SimGot EM10, the graph looks like that in there. Yeah, same story. It's kind of like V-shaped warm tuned IM. If you're coming from that and you're looking for an upgrade, then you're gonna find the Terra more natural sounding. The EM10's bass looks a lot, but probably on listening, they're probably kind of like the same in amount. The M10's treble can be a little bit spicy. That's why, you know, as you can see there in past 10K, there's some elevation there for the M10. The Terra is gonna sound more natural. It's just gonna be more organic and, should I say, analog sounding, which reminded me of the one I heard before, the Tensho Mirai X. Look at that there. They're pretty similar in curve, like starting with a high bass and then a decline on the lower mids and then up. Yeah, it is similar, but the TSMRX is a little bit intense in the upper mids, as evidence on that 2.8K peak in there. The treble is also natural sounding for the Mirai X. But yeah, if you're coming from these IEMs, the Lime Ears Terra would probably be an upgrade candidate. So other one would be what I have here, the Supernova. No, the Supernova is probably not gonna be in here. Around this price range, I haven't really heard a lot of IEMs that graphs like this, because it's like warm V-shape or something. The Monarch Snot doesn't graph like this. The Cadenza 12 does not graph like this. It's probably one of those IEMs that can be an all-rounder around this price. So yeah, but then again, audition, if you get the chance to audition the Lime Ears Terra, please do so. It's a good set, but you really, around this price range, you have got to try this first before committing to buying them. As for me, it is a good set. Really, it just really boils down to how deep your pocket is. Thank you, and see you next time.